So as hypnotherapists, we don't sit and give advice. So when you start telling me your story, when you start sharing what we call the verbal narrative, I'm not going to be jumping in there and saying, well, you know, you could do this or you could do that, or have you ever thought of doing the other thing? That's not our job. Our job is to listen and to give you the opportunity to share what the problem is, the timeline, and when it happens. Because in process-focused hypnosis, we recognize that our client brings the story. This is the content, the verbal content of their problem. And we listen and we reflect back to them, and we get to understand the language that they use, because when we know the words they use to describe their problem, well, then when it comes to giving hypnotic suggestions to them, we can use that same language. And if we're speaking the same language to them, it's easier for that to penetrate into the subconscious mind without that critical factor becoming involved, if we speak the same language as our client. But as a process-focused hypnotherapist, your job is to move beneath that content, to go beneath the what and when, and to get down into the how. Because the how is the process. What you've already discovered today is that when we did the suggestibility exercise, I gave you suggestions and you turned those suggestions into sensory information that went into your brain. You turned my words, some of you turned my words into images, some of you turned it into self-talk, or you heard the sound of the seagulls and the waves, etc. And some of you turned my words into feelings. Some of you felt deep relaxation, some of you felt heaviness, some of you felt lightness. These are the building blocks of experience. Well, we're going to take that a step further today, because we need to get into the how. Looking at your problems here in the chat box, my questions then are going to be, you don't need to answer them, just consider them. How are you not taking time for yourself? How are you feeling fear? How are you experiencing a lack of energy? How are you stressed? Where is that stress showing up? What are the thoughts that you tell yourself? What are the beliefs that underpin your belief that you can't honor your promises to yourself, that you don't have enough energy, that you're short on focus, that you lack motivation, that you can't build a plan for action, that you're going to be anxious in this situation or that situation? Because we need to begin to understand exactly how this problem is showing up within your body, because it shows up in two places. It shows up in the external world, but really I need to know, how is it showing up inside of you? So, all of our problems and all of the solutions to our problems are created and maintained by these things: what you think, what you say, what you feel, and the actions you take. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into your breakout room in a little while. And what I want you to do is to begin to break your problem down. And I want you to look at how your thoughts are maintaining it, how the words that you say are maintaining your problem, what feelings make it worse, and what are the actions, the habits or behaviors that you are doing that are keeping you stuck. because this is how we begin to understand how your problem shows up. When we understand how it shows up, we then can take those things and we can begin to look at the flip side of them. We're going to do this later on this afternoon, but once we've begun to create mental space for you, once you have become clear on how you are sabotaging your own success by your thoughts, by your words, by your actions, your deeds, and your feelings, then a part of your brain, called the reticular activating system, we'll leave that to one side for now, is going to begin to become more aware of how you're sabotaging yourself. And with that awareness, you're going to be able to pull back. And this afternoon, I'm going to be able to make sure that you're going to become aware of how you sabotage yourself, but instead be able to put new thoughts, new words, new feelings, new actions and behaviors in place instead. So that is our starting point for today. And, you know, there's science behind this, because you already know it, that when I say words to you outside of hypnosis, you either make pictures or you simply imagine. You have an inner dialogue or you have an auditory response. You turn those words into some kind of feelings of relaxation, feelings of heaviness, feelings of lightness, to a greater or lesser extent, depending on your own psychological makeup. But these different responses trigger different parts of our brain. And there's an old theory by an amazing guy called MacLean who developed this theory called the triune brain. And he said that we have three different specific brain parts. We have our prefrontal cortex, which is our thinking brain. It's our rational brain. We have our mammalian brain, which is the seat of our emotions. And we have this much older brain called the reptilian brain that controls all our non-thinking bodily responses. So by asking you today, what are the thoughts? What are the words? What are the emotions? What are the behaviors that are keeping you stuck? We're looking at how your brain is holding on to these, and we're beginning to tap into these different brain structures. We're becoming aware of how these brain structures interact with us. Because what happens very often is when we have a problem or a challenge, we have an unconscious automatic response. It just feels as if it happens automatically. So today what we want to do is we want to stop what is happening to you from being automatic. Bring in this awareness, notice when it happens, and put in alternative responses. Now, the triune theory has pretty much been discarded, because we now recognize that these brains don't work in isolation, but this is a highly adaptive system, and we now call it the adaptive brain. The thinking brain, the emotional brain, and our nervous system all work together. We would like to think that we're in control, that our prefrontal cortex, our logical brain, is master of the show. But the truth is, if you experience fear, anxiety, or a phobia, you'll know that this ancient reptilian brain is the one that's in control, because it creates the rapid heartbeat, the feeling of jelly in your legs. It creates all of those physiological symptoms that make you feel uncomfortable. So hypnosis is about accessing and changing these different responses that are going on inside your body, that are going on inside your brain.